There's been a fire reported in the building. Please proceed to the nearest exit and leave the building.
This is just a drill.
Providing security. Providing security. Floor 2 is clear.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Deciphering My Experience. My name is Eric, and I'm just going to talk about what's been going on as of late. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who's been reaching out to me since being booted off of Facebook. I do appreciate that everybody still wants to see what's going on, so thank you, Mandy, Matt, Penny, Iris, Dale, Johnny, Sophie, and Bhakta Peter. Thank you for, all of your support to everybody, for sharing my videos. The numbers show it's being shared, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. If everybody can continue helping me out for the moment, I'm working on figuring out what to do for a new platform, but for the time being, I'll keep producing videos and putting them here on YouTube, and if you guys like them and subscribe and share, I would really appreciate it. So thanks again to everybody who has been so supportive. The topic that I want to talk about today, I'm continually feeling like we are in the midst of World War III, and the battlefield of the mind seems to be where my thoughts go as of late. And that, we need to do something about this. I've been watching a lot of Mark Passio as of late. I'm very impressed by this gentleman. I like his angle, the cut of his jib, however you want to put it. He's very direct, and I appreciate his message. I feel like we need some sort of a revolution of thought nowadays is where I'm getting inspired to go, I guess. And there are other people, I think, going down this path. I've also been watching a lot of stuff produced by a gentleman named Sonny Eugene Irvin. He's been on Penny Bradley's show a couple of times recently, if I'm not mistaken, more than once. And I like a lot of the stuff that he is saying, and I believe that he is someone who very much understands that in order to disseminate the truth contemporarily, we need to look at things in a very different way, a very revolutionary thought process. So I think there's folks that are getting the big picture, and I think that we can push for this and maybe figure out a new way of, getting information out there in plain sight for everyone to see, but yet in a way that doesn't get the shadow banning and all the trolling. There's got to be a better way to do this. So I think there's folks out there that are putting their heads together to do such things, and I promote folks diversifying. I mean, the platforms have their value to share information for sure, but they can also be a crutch. So let's see what we can do about maybe figuring out a different direction. And I will be on Penny's show on the 26th, Global Enlightenment Radio Network. So it should be, I believe it's 1 to 3 Alaska time. So I think that's 2 to 4 on the West Coast. But I also have a couple of books here that I wanted to bring up. This one here, Rule by Secrecy, is a book written by Jim Marrs. And I've read this one quite a few times, and I get something out of it every time I read it. It's really that good. It gives a wonderful description of what's been going on this planet behind closed doors for thousands of years. He's very well referenced and covers a lot of stuff. This book here it's a bit closer to my heart. It's called The Big Dead Place: Inside the Strange and Menacing World of Antarctica by Nicholas Johnson. And this one is actually signed by the author, believe it or not. And it's a very interesting read. It talks about a lot of the stuff that's behind the scenes in the United States Antarctic program. And it's a funny book. I don't know if it's funny because I was in the program and I can, I guess, associate to the things that he's writing about. I wonder if other people read the book and would find it comical or not. But some folks may know that James Gandolfini read this book and found it rather interesting as well, and was in the works with HBO to produce a television series that was going to be based on that book. So I guess he found it to be a good read as well. So you guys can maybe take my word for it and James Gandolfini's word for it that that's a good book. But sadly, we'll never see the show because I guess shortly after they had the contracts with HBO, the author of the book and James Gandolfini are both dead now, so that's not going to happen. But it just is what it is. It's a great book. But today, in the grand scheme of communicating information, I mean, I only have my experience. So folks have been asking me as of late, since I'm no longer on a platform, how can they see more Antarctica videos? Well, I will be playing some after this clip, and feel free to take a tour of some of the elevated station. I believe I have in there some of the emergency power plant. I have a tour there. I have some clips of the outside of the facility so you can see the weather and such of the exterior. And then I have some of the areas that are being toured, I guess you would say. But I know people want to always have more videos and more information, so I just figured this video would be a nice hybrid of just discussing the idea of how do we disseminate information in the new world, and then, you know, also just appeasing the desires of some folks that would like to see more of Antarctica. So follow along and like and share videos. I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions about anything that I'm doing, please feel free to contact me at decipheringme369@gmail.com. I really appreciate the people that have maintained contact with me after getting deplatformed. I love all the engagement. I look forward to all the future conversations. And hey, maybe you folks can call in when I'm on Penny's show on the 26th. That could be a blast. So let me know your thoughts, watch the videos, and elevate your mind, folks. Let's figure out how to continue to disseminate information properly in a world where people are trying to do their best to prevent that. Have an excellent day. See you next time.
Morning. It's August 6th, 8:35 in the morning, and I'm in the emergency power plant helping out at rounds today, and just figure I'll give you a quick tour of the emergency power plant and show you what it's all about. Main entry into this room would be from this insulated refrigerator style door, coincidentally mounted on this side, so it makes a good blast door in case this place loses its top. We got a exit to the exterior here. Obviously you can see you go from one harsh environment to the next. If this place was burned. We got our day tank here, fuel pumping system, brings everything in from the main fuel facility into this room, gives us about a day's worth of fuel. Here we have a battery of plate heat exchangers. As I've mentioned before in earlier videos, South Pole Station is big on plate heat exchangers. Extremely efficient. They work quite well. Connects the emergency power plant EPP to the rest of the glycol heating loop in the station. Here we have emergency generator 2 and emergency generator number 1. Now, we also have a backup standard boiler, oil fired, uses AN8, and the presumption is if we lost the main power plant, this place could keep us surviving. We would have a drastic drastic loss of power production. So we would be cutting everything down. Science would come to a standstill, and we would just be making enough heat and power to get by. We'd probably all have to move into the B-pod emergency area, from what I understand. Over here, sewage ejector system for the B-pod that we're in right now. This is our emergency water supply tanks, emergency hot water supply tank, filtration system over there. It turns out we can actually start melting snow and sucking it up into these tanks. The system that we have over here next to these glycol reserve tanks, on the left hand side of it, is a series of glycol supply and return lines that go outside to a heat exchanger that we would dump snow into the top of it, melt that snow, and then use a submersible pump to suck it back up and into those tanks that I just showed you. Pure snow means pure water. Here's our switching station and startup positions. We have the master panel, Gen 2 panel, and Gen 1 panel. Here's all the wonderful functions. This is part of our startup procedure. If we lose main power, we gotta get over to these panels really quick and start jump starting everything and bringing everything back up. This is the remote radiator room. This is if it turns out somehow we start manufacturing excess heat, these radiators would kick on to relieve that excess heat and discharge it to the exterior. I highly doubt that would ever come on. Control switches, startups, hand, off, hand. Why is that on hand? That's auto, auto, auto. Why is that one on hand? That is not supposed to be on hand. Why is that? Let's see. And we will double check ourselves. All motor control switches, 9 in auto position at emergency control panel. That is not right. Hand. AHU 6. Emergency motor control panel. 107 MCCB. 107 MCCB. All 9 motor control switches in auto position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are in auto. That is in hand. Weeks, Eric.
Hello?
Hey Weeks, I'm down in the EPP and I just noticed that the motor control switch for AHU-6 is in the hand position, not the auto. Any reason for that?
Yeah, that's the fault that we were getting when we brought it online. If we switch it to auto, it's going to go back into fault, and it took us 2.5 hours to get that fault to go away. So we're running the auto for the rest of the season. I mean hand for the rest of the season.
Copy that. Since I didn't know that, I guess we should let everybody know that.
Yeah, I thought I mentioned, I didn't mention it in that much detail, but okay, I'll mention it at the next meeting, the safety meeting this afternoon.
10-4, senor, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Woohoo! It's supposed to be like that all of a sudden. Would have been nice if they told us. Yeah, so that is basically EPP in a nutshell. I'll put that sheet back before it gets lost. And today's Saturday. We have the Winter Film Festival this evening. We have a couple of good entries ourselves, and we'll see how we fare. This continent's pretty full of creative folks, so it should be good times for all. See what the hell was manufactured this year on the ice, and I'm looking forward to it. Have a couple of cocktails, relax, don't let the 40%ers get to you. Should be a beautiful thing. Hey, have a wonderful day, and thank you for your tour of the emergency power plant facility. Later.
In one of my earlier videos, I explained to you the importance of the flag lines that were installed. Today is a perfect example. Get a load of this. That's where I'm headed. Back towards the station. If the flags weren't here, good luck finding it. Now we're facing into the wind. As you can see by this flag here, to make a very distinct noise. When it's pitch black out, we're supposed to learn how to listen for that, because in the future we won't even see these. That's where I'm coming from. Dark Sector Laboratories. Doing the rounds. Woo! Pretty wild stuff. Can't see anything out here. I didn't even realize how frozen up my goggles were until I turned this thing on. I can still see out of them enough to get from flag to flag, but apparently I need to make some improvements. Have a great day. See you folks later.
Saturday, August 6th, 11:25 a.m. We're in the A2 mechanical room, which is off of the A2 fan room, which is in the A pod, A2 to be exact. We have our fire sprinkler suppression system in here, stored water under air pressure, about 145 psi. This is it for us. If we get a fire, this system discharges. We got about a 10-minute supply of water, I believe, for a single head. If it goes to multiple heads in a big raging fire, it's up to Team 2 Fire Brigade and a bunch of fire extinguishers. So yeah, we train for it, don't worry. Here we got Big Buddha, giant expansion tank, 422 gallon expansion tank, biggest one I've ever seen. I'll try to pan slower. We got a water storage tank here, more plate heat exchangers, stackables, little expansion tank, T2 hot water storage tank. Here's our fire suppression system. I'll back out. 3 OS and Y valves, clappers, the works, poppers. Here we got pump 1A and 1B. Part of our glycol system for pod A. These get inspected every single day for function. They're redundant to each other. And the DDC control system predicates which one is firing for us. Here we got our sign-in sheet. This is one of our backup boilers. Again, choice of fuel that we use on station, AN8, which is an Antarctic grade jet fuel. Made exclusively for this program. To the best of my knowledge, nobody else in the world uses AN8. It's a upgrade from JP8, which is a more familiarly known and used jet fuel, and they just add some more ingredients to it so that it's good for our conditions. Here is the day tank for this facility. That gauge right there is dysfunctional. We learned that the hard way. It got overfilled one day and fuel started spraying out of the back of that gauge, and that was pandemonium. Nothing like an A&H spill on station to get your blood going. But yeah, that was a fun day. There's not too much else to show you in here. Ron claims that this here hand truck, if need be, can be used for wheeling drunks home because it's got an elevating feature and we can scoop them up and dump them right in their beds. It has yet to be utilized, but you never know. A couple of folks have a tendency to get their load on. Doesn't make them bad people. Here we have, we'll go out into A2 fan room. The noise that you're hearing over here, we have the exhaust fans for the kitchens. Series of 3. Man, on camera this place really looks like it needs a paint job. Pretty surprising for a brand new facility. Pump 5A and 5B. Also on the daily rounds, redundant to each other and inspected every single day. Electrical, oh, something smells good. This room is right below the galley, and since we have the exhaust fans for the galley cutting through here, we're the first ones to smell what they're cooking. And if you smell what the galley is cooking, then you get hungry really fast. A lot of glycol, a lot of mixing valves, a lot of DDC control. This place is very much computer operated. These air handler units mix the interior air, the exterior air, and add glycol heat as needed. Woo! That almost got me. This here goes right to the outside. These vents, they're currently open, so we're calling for exterior air to come in, blend with the interior air. It modulates the freshness of our air, as well as the temperature. You'd be surprised that in Antarctica, we actually have equipment for cooling. You would think that they could figure out a better way to do it. You know, a lot of engineers involved, not too many tradesmen. You can see here that that door accumulates a lot of ice. That's part of our daily rounds also, because we have to check those louvers and make sure they aren't jammed up with ice. Injector pump room for APOD. Also, secret storage room for tools that are supposed to be kept downstairs, but it's a lot easier and nicer to hide them up here, so we don't have to go all the way downstairs to get them. That's A2 fan room and A2 mechanical room. Yay. It's 35 knots today, gusting to 45. It is brutal out. I'm going to throw some gear on and get this camera out there and see how long it lasts. I have on more layers than I ever typically wear. My gear that's normally good in lesser wind, minus 90 degrees, 15 knot winds. I have all of that on, and a couple of more face layers
and an entire other Carhartt jacket. Hopefully the camera doesn't blow out of my hand because the door's hard to open.
I will open it for you.
Oh, thank you. Courtesy of lovely Shannon.
Yeah, my camera's closed, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave it in here.
Let's see what we can do with this one.
Let me know when you're ready.
Ready? Hey Shannon, why don't you go first for effect? Over here.